Welcome to Library Connection. I'm your hostess, Elaine Live Oak, and today I'm talking with Denise Cook Godfrey, and she will forgive me if I make a mistake with that,
yes.
But bless her heart, she has a hyphen name, and she is a return guest because she has some really exciting news to share with us all, and she wanted everyone to know about some exciting happenings that she has had recently in her life. And we welcome you, Denise, to our show.
Thank you, Elaine.
Let's begin by talking about the connection. We call it, of course, Library Connection. And we know your husband quite well because he comes up with the ARC young people. And as a matter of fact, he was with them yesterday. We provide programming for them twice a month, every 2 weeks. And he brings them up there. They call him Mr. D.
Mr. D.
Yeah, and they certainly enjoy him. They like him very much. And he is very respectful, very caring of them. And
yes.
But he's also a very friendly fella.
Yes,
and so he was talking with us, and he was so proud of you, and was telling us all about you. And of course, we've had you on before to talk about some nice things that you've done. And we're going to really begin, in case our audience doesn't know you all that well. If you will, please tell us what church you attend and what position you hold there in your church.
Yes, Elaine, I attend the New Beginning Ministries Church right here in Sylacauga, and I am one of the associate ministers there. Actually, my husband is the assistant pastor, and his father, Erastus Godfrey, he is the pastor and the founder of New Beginning Ministries. And I also hold a position in the church where I work with the youth. We have a praise and worship dance ministry as well as a drama ministry. And it's just very interesting working with youth, as you may know as well. So those are the positions that I hold at the church here.
Now, do you work with primarily the girls, or are there boys? I think there seems to be not too many boys interested in this type of thing.
A year or so ago, I did have actually about 4 boys that I worked with directly on our dance ministry team. They didn't do the dance as far as some of the more ballet or jazz type movements, but they did the expressions and what they call the mime type of movements for expressions. But right now, we just have a set of girls. We have about 8 girls that we're still working with. And we do have about, I would say, about 3 or 4 boys, though, in our congregation that help us with our drama. Because we have to have the guys, to come in and help with our Christmas skits and, our Easter program. So they are very, very helpful, and they're very talented. So we do use our guys, for our drama, but as far as the dance ministry, right now we have a set of girls that we work with.
Well, isn't it's so interesting to watch, and I know that perhaps not your team, but I saw a team last year that was on the news channel here in Birmingham, and they had come to kind of do an exhibit of what their Christmas was all about, all dressed alike and so in sync. How many hours does it take to get a team that well rehearsed?
Actually, we try to meet, as long as there's not anything that's hindering us from meeting. We try to meet once a week on a Monday for about an hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half, especially if we're trying to get ready for an event. We may work a little longer, but it takes a while. Sometimes you have to work with them, with your choreography, but not only just the choreography, we try to do the biblical aspect of dance as well, to teach them from a biblical aspect the meaning of the song that you're working on. For example, if you're doing something dramatic, we try to use scripture references, and we try to teach them from the Bible what it means as well. So it takes some time, it takes patience, because you're having to sometimes get on their level, so to speak.
And get their attention.
Yes, and sometimes we do have, my youngest is about, I would say she's about 7. So we have about from age 7 all the way up to about age 16 right now. So, and they do, I've been working with them, for years now, and you do see them come and go, and that's sad. Because they graduate, they go off to college, or they go into the armed forces or whatever, and they come back to visit, but you lose them in a sense, from the ministry. So it's a very challenging but yet very interesting and rewarding work.
How often do they perform in your church?
We perform and minister mostly with our liturgical calendar for Easter, for Christmas, and then every now and then we'll do something for our Sunday morning worship service. But we also go to different churches when they're having programs. We get invited to go. As a matter of fact, we were at a church locally. Well, actually, it was in Harpersville this past Sunday. And actually, Saturday, we're going to a church called Harper Spring Baptist. They're having a youth program this Saturday, Saturday and Sunday, actually, and we're going to go there and minister and dance along with some other groups. So we get to dance pretty often, several times in the year we get to dance either at our church or somewhere here locally. So
do you hear a song and just visualize the movements to it, or do you choreograph it out on a piece of paper and that type of thing?
That's a loaded question.
I know.
Yes, yes and yes. Most of the time, since I am the one that does the choreography, and I'm teaching and training a few of the kids to be able to do choreography as well for their own solos. So yes, there are times when you may be in the car and you just hear a song on the radio and it just melts your heart, and you begin to see movement. You begin to see the different dancers on their different levels. Well, I'll put this one on this side, and I'll put this one over here. Oh, and then I'll let such and such come in and do a leap here. So yes, you hear music and you know that it's got to be a dance. And sometimes it's not ministered right then. It may be months down the road before you even do it. And then as far as the choreography, you listen, you try to put steps with it, and a lot of times you just really have to depend on the Lord to give you what He wants to put in it.
Right.
You have to do that.
Sure.
And so it's wonderful, but sometimes it can be challenging because when you see it at home or wherever you are and you write it down, and then when you take it to the children, sometimes they can't see what you see.
Right.
So you have to work with them.
Right.
You have to pull it out of them because it's in there.
Yeah. If they're talented at all,
Yes,
it is.
it's in there. So.
Well, how do you come about, I noticed, the costuming, do you do that as well, or do you have helpers that kind of help you put together?
Well, what we do, we've been ordering different garments offline.
Oh, okay.
And now there are seamstresses out there. We have a lady who is a parent of one of the dancers. She's a very skilled seamstress. So at times I've had her do alterations for me. If something is wrong, if the kids can't wear something, she would do alterations for us. So we order our garments offline. And that's very significant. The garments are significant in that sometimes we want to do a certain color to match the theme of the song.
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into this type of ministry. A lot of people don't realize, all the detail that goes into it.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, I know that just observing it, as I said, I'm just awed that I know how long it takes.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
did many years ago. We did sign language song,
Okay.
and every time I hear that song in any setting whatsoever, I remember.
You remember.
Yeah, movement
Yes.
with the children, and like you, I had them positioned, and we had certain costuming that we wore, and they just learned sign language, and it was so
Right. I've
effective
seen
for
that before,
Easter.
too.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
beautiful.
It is. Well, the reason that we're talking about this is because Miss Denise wrote it down. She actually has written books to help with this kind of ministry for other churches. So let's, if you would, tell us about the first ones that you've written. I have them written
Okay.
down here,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
if you've got them up, tell us about
Yes,
them.
now the very first book that I wrote was Worshiping God, Serving God, the Mary Martha Syndrome. And that book was just, the inspiration behind it was just birthed out of an intense longing to worship God and to bond with God and be intimate with Him in worship without being distracted by the cares of the world or things going on at work or things going on in my home life. And also ministry work. Sometimes
Right.
ministry work can hinder us from spending that intimate time with the Lord. So therefore, I was moved to write that book because I became a Martha instead of a Mary. I was grumpy, I was complaining, I was distracted because at that particular time in my life, it was around 2011, I had 3 teams. I had 3 sets of youth that I was working with. I had a set of boys and 2 sets of girls because of their age differences. So I was doing that, and plus I had responsibilities in my church for teaching, because I am a minister of the gospel, so therefore I had to keep myself prepared to teach or preach. And I was just so distracted. So the Lord placed that on my heart to write that book. And then shortly after that, I wrote the So You Say You Can Praise Dance, Now What? And it's really a how-to manual. I was just really, there was a burning desire to be able to just help those that are wanting to start an effective praise dance ministry within their local church. And then why should a pastor allow such a ministry in the church? All of that is answered in that book, and some doctrinal issues as well as in that book, because some people don't really think that that type of ministry is for this time, for the New Testament church. So there's that in the book as well, and it's really like a how-to manual. Yeah.
Well, and children just like to move anyway.
They
and
really
it's
do.
Beautiful when they do it in,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
such a flowing
Yes,
manner, and
yes.
it is in praise and worship. It is beautiful to see, indeed. And this is nice for people, as you say, who are looking for it and don't know where to begin.
Right, because that's the way I was.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to begin. I thought I was crazy. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't have any professional dance training. I was just making all of the excuses to try to push it aside, but the Spirit of God would not leave me alone about it. The desire got stronger.
Yeah.
So I had to step out and seek mentorship.
Right.
I had to seek help from someone in the community, and then I had to go on from there and actually go to a dance studio and take some classes with kids. So that was a humbling experience.
Well, you also wrote a devotional.
Yes, ma'am.
First Fruits of the Morning.
Yes, the first fruits of my morning. What that is, it's really a 30-day devotional, and it was designed with people in mind that dance, people that do choir directing and that sort of a thing. And then the Lord spoke and said, really, it's designed for anyone that wants to worship.
Right.
So it's a 30-day devotional, and it's actually a part of the book, Worshiping God, Serving God. It's in the back of the book as a bonus. So it's a devotional that will just jumpstart your day, and it gives scripture references and different examples of just worship and just things to help us to get closer to the Lord in our time
Could
with
it be
Him.
used if a class, for instance, wanted to do a Bible study?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that out, because I actually forgot to set up the Bible study guide. There's a Bible study guide that goes along with Worshiping God, Serving God, and within the guide it just takes you through chapter by chapter, and a Bible study group like at church could really benefit from it.
I think that's wonderful, but the exciting news that she's got to share with us is that there is a fourth book, and it's brand new, and it's our largest poster over here. Why don't you tell us about it for the next couple minutes? Tell us the whole background of what it's all about, how you were inspired to write it.
Yes, ma'am. I thank God for it, because it's called The Day I Danced Under an Open Heaven. And just talking about an open heaven, I was so inspired to write that because I wanted more. I wanted to really express some testimonies in the book as well. Talking about an open heaven, Jesus taught the disciples a model prayer to pray. And a part of that prayer says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." So the book was inspired. I was inspired to really write this book because I wanted to see more, and I wanted to actually answer the call when heaven speaks for the now, for the right now. For an example, if it's a dance that I need, if it's choreography that I need, wouldn't it be better to get it from heaven?
Oh, yeah.
Than just to make it up myself on my own.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's what this book entails, and it has a lot of involvement. Like I said, there's testimonies in it. And before I leave that conversation on this book, the real reason, one of the main reasons rather, is that I was at a point where I had to minister a dance and I didn't know what to do. Because sometimes I do a solo when people invite me as a soloist, and I didn't know what to do, and I just began to worship God, and through my husband, he began to speak a word through my husband. And there was a manifestation that happened the next day when I went to do the dance, and it was so miraculous in that the music stopped. Because the Lord had told my husband that I would become the dance. The people wouldn't just hear the music, they would see the dance, and I would become the dance. So I had to actually dance without music.
Oh my goodness.
And it was very special in that I felt like, in Scripture, when you look and see, when the heavens begin to open, there's always a voice Even with Jesus, when the heavens opened, the Lord spoke, "This is my son, in whom my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased." So with us today, I believe that we can experience an open heaven over every area of our life, whether it's ministry, whether it's decisions that we make for our personal life. We can hear heaven speak, and we can respond.
Thank you. We'll be back in just a moment to talk more with Denise Cook Godfrey. Please join us.
You've waited all year for this sale. Toyotathon is on right now, and it's the Toyota of Sylacauga grand reopening. You can get our lowest prices of the year today.
We're your Sylacauga Camry connection. Right now, all new Toyota Camrys are discounted up to $6,000. All discounts clearly marked on vehicles.
Don't miss this one, Toyotathon, and the Toyota of Sylacauga grand reopening. Online 24/7 at toyotaofsylacauga.com.
Wright Tire and Service on West Fort Williams in Sylacauga is the right place for you. We carry the right tires for your car: Goodyear, Cooper, General, Michelin, and lots more. Wright Tire and Service is also your right choice when it comes to all of your automotive service needs. Whether it's an oil change, front end alignment, brake service, or air conditioner work, make the right choice the first time and stop by Wright Tire and Service, Sylacauga.
In Central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in Central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
There's one pharmacy that's so much more than just a drugstore. That's Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga. From cards for all occasions, a huge selection of gifts, even great exclusive Alabama and Auburn stuff, all kinds of household needs, and a complete selection of over-the-counter meds and supplies that you would expect. We are more than just a drugstore, but with our friendly, courteous staff and all of our great extras, we ought to be your drugstore. We're Marble City Pharmacy in Ogletree Plaza. Cardin's Gift Cottage. Shop them early and shop them late. Shop Cardin's early for the area's best selection of great holiday decorations. Inside or outside, your home will look like a winter wonderland. And right up to the last minute, Cardin's has the most unique Christmas gift ideas you'll find. On second thought, don't shop them too late. You just might miss what you've been looking for at Cardin's Gift Cottage, West Fort Williams in Sylacauga.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm so delighted to have with me today Denise Cook Godfrey. I've apologized to her twice already, and anyway, she is the author of the books that you see in front of us, and she's been telling us about her newest book, and she's had some exciting things happen as a result of her writings, and we kind of wanted her to share some of those experiences because they are unique and different. And you had told me that you were invited to Atlanta. Tell us about that occasion.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Elaine. Actually, I met a lady from Anguilla at Mobile during 2013. We were at a conference, my husband and I. We visited a conference in Mobile, and I met her, and all of a sudden she kept in touch with me, and she invited me to the Atlanta conference that they had over there this past September. The conference was a spiritual conference. It was sort of like a revival, and it was for like 3 or 4 nights. But my husband and I went because she was supposed to go, and she was supposed to have a booth set up to, I guess, to sell items that she had for her ministry. She was unable to come, so I was gifted the booth for that conference, and I thought, oh my. So I went to the conference, and I was able to set up a booth at the conference to actually sell my books and sign them, and just to speak to different individuals about them. It was wonderful. It was amazing. We were able to make more connections while we were there, and hopefully we'll be hearing something soon where I'll be able to go back to Atlanta to appear on Atlanta Live. It's a television station there. So we're just waiting to hear about that, but it was a wonderful connection. And the Lord set it up, I believe. I do believe He did, because I don't think I would have known about that conference had this woman from Anguilla, my new friend, had she not told me about it and actually gifted it to my ministry, you know, to be able to go and not only to do the books, but to enjoy the conference.
Oh yeah,
So it was
you meet
nice.
so many wonderful people at
Yes.
conferences, and when you're there with a like mind or like spirit kind of thing, it makes all the difference in the
does,
world.
it
Everyone you
does.
meet is in sync with you, and I enjoy those kind of things myself. But what a great opportunity for you to provide other folks with this knowledge and be able to sign their books.
Yes.
That's always very special to
very
us,
exciting.
especially at the library when you folks have put your name in it for us. It wasn't the only conference, though. You've had some book signings and such.
I've had a few, yes. I've had some here locally. I joined in with other authors at the museum here.
Right.
The local book nook here, the lady
Yes.
that owns that, she had a book signing not too long ago. I think it was last year or a couple of years ago. And I've been able to go to Wigufka as well
Yes,
on their Authors Day at their art center to
Yes.
participate in book signings there as well. Met a lot of other authors
Right.
down there. So yes, I've had some book signings. Looking forward to doing more.
Right. Don't you think this Writers Guild that is being organized here locally, and I think it's through the museum.
It is.
And the ladies, what a great opportunity
very
for
great
anyone
opportunity.
who has written any kind of book or whatever. It isn't limited to spiritual books. It isn't limited to nonfiction
right.
or any of that at this point. But that's very necessary for folks like yourself, people who know how to get with publishers, to get your kind of book published, and those kind of things,
Absolutely.
talking about book signings, what you should do, how you should prepare. So many things the Writers Guild could
Yes,
help.
absolutely. I'm
a new
looking
person.
forward to it. It's actually just getting started.
Yes.
I'm going to be able to go to some of the meetings hopefully in the future, and I'm just looking forward to it because I know it can be a great source of mentorship
Yeah.
and a great, connection, if you will, just to
Yeah.
network with other authors, especially local authors,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think it'll be a great thing. Well, you also appeared on a TV show. Brenda LeDunn had you on in
yes.
Matters of Faith, and she's so very kind and generous here in our local community. She's come for several things to talk and to tell her story. She was at Wigufka also. Last year we were privileged to have her at the book
Yes.
at the Awards Authors Day, and she did an excellent job there as well. Tell us about your Matters of Faith appearance.
Oh, that was a very special time for the children and myself. Brenda, she had contacted me, and she's such a warm person. She's very, very nice and very approachable. She had contacted me really last year, a year before we actually did a taping about just interviewing our dance ministry at our church. And so we finally got it together. We just had some times where we missed some times, and we couldn't get together on dates, but we finally got it together, and she came down to our church over at New Beginning Ministries, and she interviewed the children. A couple of them actually talked to her, and she interviewed me, and she actually got some clips of us dancing. But what she wanted to do, she wanted to just really talk about using dance as a way to praise God.
Right.
And I was so excited to be able to do it. It was just such a wonderful time for us. It gave us some experience as far as the girls especially, being able to express what's in their heart about it.
Right.
So it was a very wonderful interview. I really enjoyed meeting Brenda. She's, like I said, she's a very warm, fun-loving person.
She is, and she's interested.
She was very
she's totally
interested.
interested
Yes.
in what's happening, and even here in Sylacauga, she loves to tell about the things that are going on here, and we are blessed.
We really
this
are.
community, for the size it is, there is so much talent in Sylacauga, and this is just one example of the talent. Well, let's have you tell us, if you will, about your dance certificate that you have received, and that's an important thing for
it's
you.
very important to me, and it's very new to me as well. I just received certification as a liturgical dance instructor, and when we say liturgical dance instructor, we're just talking about being able to mentor and instruct others as to how to create dynamic choreography, how to actually get into the biblical aspect of dance. It's about teaching and training. It's about using the gifts that God has given us to actually help people start dance ministries, help them to be effective in what they're doing, help them to know why they're doing what they're doing. So the instructor certificate came from a ministry called the Praise Dance Life and Visual Praise Ministries, and the lady that is over the instruction is Jocelyn Richard, and she is very anointed, very gifted, very talented, and she's very passionate about her teaching. And she helped me to actually go through all of the requirements. You know, I had to actually do some hands-on things, and we had to do some papers.
Oh, really?
I had to actually go to school,
it seemed
like. So it was very rewarding for me, and I've received that certification actually just a couple of weeks ago. I was finished with everything, so she actually contacted me the other day and welcomed me and congratulated me. So I've received that certification, and I'm just so happy to have that. So now I can be able to do workshops, you know, of my own here locally or even in other states if I desire, you know, just to reach out to other people, especially those who are beginners or those that haven't had dance training, you know, maybe no professional training, but there's still, you know, movement dynamics that you can learn. There's things about choreography and expression that you can learn to incorporate in your choreography so it doesn't get rote, so to speak.
Right.
So it can be interesting, so it can pull the audience into the moment of what you're expressing.
Right. And for children, I can just imagine what a blessing it is.
Oh,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
very time consuming, of course, and they want to be exact with it and all of that stuff, but so much better. It keeps their mind and body in shape, you know?
It really does. You're right.
That's important to
It's
kids
very
who are
important.
couch potatoes anymore with games and all of those things.
It's very important to teach them, especially even in the book that I wrote, the So You Say You Can Praise Dance Now. There's a little segment in there that talks about the things that you really should do physically to keep your body in shape, you know, because that's something that I had to get used to. I had to really start walking and doing aerobics just to keep yourself fit, because you don't want to be on stage and after 3 minutes you huffing and puffing and
oh yeah, I can imagine.
So it's a body, soul, and spirit type of ministry.
That's good.
So,
well, I can imagine you in the future holding a conference or holding a class for those from other churches interested in starting it. And now that you have your certificate, you certainly would be qualified to do it. Well, before we go off the air, do you have some future plans? Are there more books in the works?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a writer, so yes, ma'am, there is another book in the works. I've actually finished it. I've just got to do some finishing touches on it. I had a woman, her name is Michelle Stimpson. She is actually a bestseller. And I contacted her and she read through my book and she gave a quote for it. And she gave me some advice, so I'm going to have to put more in it. So I'm hoping to have it finished in 2015, maybe during the first quarter, prayerfully. So I'm working on that, and I would like to continue to work in the dance ministry as far as the workshops that I spoke of. So those are my immediate plans, to continue to even to write and direct the gospel stage plays that we normally do at our church. So those are my plans for the future.
Well, we wish you such good luck, and thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
such a delight
Thank
to be
you.
around and have so much energy. And we thank you so much for watching Library Connections today.
You're welcome. My privilege.